Jason, it's 9, remember? Of course, babe, I'll remember. I'll be there before you know it. Chill out. I glared at Jason, my boyfriend of 6 months, my longest relationship ever. Actually, my first relationship ever since I turned 17 last year. His brown eyes were glued to his phone and he was texting rapidly. Is he even listening to me? Jason, I said again, craning my neck to see what had him so engrossed in his phone. He finally looked up, placed his phone on his chest, and smiled. Even after 6 months, I still get butterflies in my belly when he smiles like that. Jason is in the top 10 in our class and I can't believe how lucky I am to be his girlfriend. I hope that's my birthday present you're picking. You'll see. I'll be there, babe. He drawled and leaned across the gear to press a kiss to my lips. I grinned foolishly and returned the kiss before getting my bag from the back seat and leaving the car. My friends Lorraine and Sophie waited at the entrance of the school in front of Lorraine's car. She's the only one among us with a car. She and Sophie had ridden to school without me today because Jason offered to pick me up. Hey bitch! Sophie called out. Sophie Wilson is the wildest in the group. She got a fake ID first, got high on weed on her 15th birthday, had sex the same day, got suspended twice, and took alcohol to school once. I still haven't gotten the chance to drink alcohol because Grandma would have my tongue if I did. Sophie once convinced us to get our hair dyed blue. It took weeks to get the color off my thick curls. Lorraine's mother had been so aghast by the sight of her precious daughter's blue hair that she almost had a heart attack. Lorraine Grant, on the other hand, is the wise owl in our friend group. She has a wild side that she keeps under wraps because of her parents' reputation. They are stinky rich. I'm the odd one in the group. Let's just leave it at that. Anyway, Sophie, Lorraine, and I have been friends for forever, and believe me, it's hard being friends with such attractive girls, especially when you always have to play the third wheel. Sophie looked past me to Jason, who waved at us. Hey hottie! She screamed, drawing the attention of half the school population towards us. She blew a kiss at him and winked while flipping her dyed red hair. She glanced at me mischievously and wagged her brows. Did you guys do it? She whispered. I rolled my eyes and groaned. In the car on the way to school? No, we did not have sex, Sophie. I thought we talked about not talking about this topic. She sniffed and rolled her eyes. I bet Jason must be starving to get between your legs, Mary Poppins. You know boys, they need sex, or they die, right, Lorraine? Lorraine, who had been typing on her phone, looked up. Sometimes, she said in her gentle tone. You gotta understand that Lorraine was born and bred as a princess, so she's way more refined than Sophie and I can ever be. Jason doesn't look like he's in a rush to get under your skirts though, Coco. Chantel is my name. It's a nice name I guess, but I go by Coco because that was the first thing I could say as a baby, none of that generic mama and dada for me. Oh my gosh, you guys are so boring. Sophie yawned. Okay, whatever Coco. But take my word for it, Jason is getting some elsewhere if he's not pestering you for sex, and believe me, I wish I was that person. She smacked her lips. I rolled my eyes and laughed. Lorraine laughed too. Trust me, we have been around Sophie long enough to be used to her B*LLSH*T. The bell rang suddenly, and we left the entrance and headed to class. Our schedules are the same, so we attend every class together. As we slid into the 3 empty seats we found, Lorraine leaned over. Your birthday dinner is still happening, right? She asked. Yeah, I replied. I turn 18 today. Baby Bird is becoming a grown-up. I'm so excited about eating your mom's delicious cooking. My mom got back yesterday, and she has done nothing but yell all day. I can't believe I'm about to say this, Sophie said with her lips curled in disgust. School is a million times better than a day with that screeching banshee. I laughed. Ms. Wilson is not exactly a model mother. It's only a few months now, soon you'll be out of that house for good. I comforted Sophie. God, I can't wait. Good morning, class. That ended our conversation for the next hour. All 3 of us are smart. That's one of the reasons Grandma approves of our friendship. She's not Sophie's biggest fan, but she admires Sophie's brains. She's the best in our science classes. Lorraine is better at languages and art subjects, while I, like my dad, excel at calculus, mathematics, and geometry. Anything that has formulas and calculations is my turf, anything except physics. And so our classes continued until 2 in the afternoon, when we had lunch and talked about boys and the bitchy girls in our class. We have one common enemy. Sierra Turner. She's a total hoe, and she has been the topic of our discussions too many times to count. Today we talked about the rumor going around about Sierra and a backup dancer at some club. Apparently, Sierra's mother heard the news and was threatening to send her off to a convent or something. Believe me, Sierra needs the prayers of the faithful to cleanse her soul. After lunch, we had more classes until school let out at 5 in the evening. All 3 of us piled into Lorraine's car and headed home with Zara Larson's Falling for a Friend, FFF, blasting from the speakers. Sophie was the first to drop off. Don't forget, I reminded her as she sashayed up the steps to her door, which flew open to reveal Ms. Wilson with her hands on her waist and the ugliest scowl on her face. 9 okay? Good evening, Ms. Wilson. Good evening, ma'am, Lorraine echoed. She ignored us and turned to berate Sophie, who slipped past her and waved at us. Okay bitches, I'll be there dressed like a stripper, Sophie shouted over the music. We drove off, leaving Ms. Wilson screaming so loudly her voice echoed over the music. Lorraine dropped me off with the promise to be right on time for my birthday dinner. I waved until she drove away and ran up the stairs to my house. Mom was hanging up the last of the balloons even though I clearly told her I was too old for them. My baby can never be too old for some balloons, was her response. Is that Coco? Grandma's voice came from the kitchen. She was holding a box in one hand while the other gripped the kitchen door. She was diagnosed with arthritis in her left leg last year, but I swear the way this woman moves like lightning when she catches you doing something bad, you would think she was the Flash. She smiled warmly at me and turned her cheek for a kiss. How is my favorite girl? The sound of thumping feet came from above. A minute later, my elder sister Yolanda was at the bottom of the stairs slowly dancing towards me. She picked me up in a bear hug even before I finished kissing Grandma. Here's the birthday girl. The new adult, she declared. She got Dad's brute strength. Let me go, you monster, I laughed. She did and grabbed the box Grandma was holding. Grandma was too occupied with me to scold her. Look what Grandma and I made you. Yolanda threw the box cover open and I gasped. Inside was a peach sequin gown which Yolanda spread for me to see. It was an A-shaped gown with a deep V neckline that would definitely show off my small breasts. It was so lovely, tears filled my eyes. Oh my God, you guys, I cried. I hugged them both. Mom chuckled and came over too for her own hug. I held on to her. All 3 of us Jones women hugging each other tightly. Suddenly I was filled with emotions. I wish Dad was here for this, I choked out. It still hurts every birthday when he's not here to lift me in his strong arms and bellow the happy birthday song in his deep voice. Mom lifted my chin and wiped the tears from my eyes. No, Coco. We will not think about that today. I'm sure your dad wouldn't want you to cry on your special day. And he is looking down at you with so much love right now, okay? I nodded and sniffed back the tears. She was right. Dad would have hated it. He and Yolanda would have kicked me for crying anyway. I giggled at the thought, suddenly feeling a lot better. The cake was set, the decorations were up, and the dress was ready. All that was left was the food. Mom shooed me upstairs. Since it was my birthday, I wasn't allowed to do anything, so I called Sophie and told her about my dress. We tried adding Lorraine to the call, but she wasn't picking her call. By 8, Sophie was the first to arrive. Surprise! Sophie cheered as soon as I opened the door. In her hands was a huge box wrapped in red paper. This is for you, birthday girl. She cast a gaze up and down my school clothes. It's 8, and you're not dressed yet. You said Yolanda and Grandma made a dress for you over the phone. Come on in. I practically dragged her in. Sophie is a regular in our house, so throwing her purse on the sofa as she walked past the living room was nothing strange. Grandma was in the tiny dining area resting after helping Mom with the beef stew. "Hey, Grandma," Sophie said sweetly. She went behind Grandma and landed a huge kiss on her cheek. Grandma grumbled something about her loud voice and wet kiss, but did not attempt to clean it off her cheek. "Lorraine isn't here yet?" "Nope, she isn't. She's probably going to call later." "Right. Probably dealing with whatever rich people deal with. Where's Mom?" Without waiting for a response, Sophie waltzed into the kitchen. "Good evening, Mrs. Jones." She sniffed the air appreciatively. "Lord, that smells heavenly." Mom laughed and swatted her hand when she tried to pick a piece of chicken off the plate of fried chicken set to cool on the counter. "Go help your friend get ready, Sophie Wilson." "Ow, Mrs. Jones, you hurt my feelings." "Okay, Coco, let's go get ready." We ran upstairs to my room where I showed her the gown. "Holy shit!" she gasped. She grabbed it from my hands, held it to her chest, and went to stand in front of my mirror. "Ah, I feel like a princess. This is so nice, Coco. Yolanda made this?" I nodded. She and Grandma. "You should totally wear this to the club later tonight." "Are we still doing that?" She had suggested last week that we go to a club after the ceremonial birthday dinner. Even though I refused, she and Lorraine insisted. I actually forgot about that plan. She gave me a side glance. "Of course we are silly. Look." She raised the skirt of her blue gown to reveal a pair of leather shorts and a halter top underneath. "I came prepared. You are 18, darling. You should celebrate in style. When Lorraine gets here, we'll eat and leave. You can bring Jason with you if you have to," she added. "You can wear it with that shoe Mom ordered for you." "Oh my God!" I said suddenly. "What?" "I forgot the shoebox in Jason's car." "Shit, Mom is going to be so mad." "We need to go to Jason's now." Sophie cocked a brow. She threw my gown carelessly on my bed. "Why? He is coming, right? He can just bring it along." Maybe I can call him. But after 5 unsuccessful calls, I threw my phone on the bed. "It's no use. Can you come with me?" I hope he hasn't forgotten about the dinner. He did seem a bit distracted this morning, so I gotta make sure my boyfriend makes it for my birthday. Also, I was way too distracted by his distraction that I forgot the box of shoes Mom asked me to pick up from the store that morning. "Do I have a choice?" Sophie asked with a roll of her eyes. The side of her lips tilted up. "No, you don't." I kissed her cheek. "You are the best." "Of course I am." I changed my clothes and wore a pair of blue jeans and a t-shirt. Still an hour until dinner, that's enough time to get Jason, and maybe hang around for a makeout session before the real deal tonight. As soon as I was dressed, Sophie and I sneaked off to Jason's parents' house. It was a short walk from my house. His car was parked in the driveway just outside the garage. Sophie grumbled about lovesick people as we made our way to the front door. I rang the bell. Jason's mother answered, "Chantal." Since Jason and I started dating, his mom made it no secret how much she liked my influence on our son. I helped Jason study in between makeout sessions and, in return, he got good grades. "What are you doing here?" "Jason isn't ready yet. I forgot my shoes in his car. I need to get them or my grandma will be mad." She looked uneasy. "Oh, okay, I'll call him down." But I was already making my way up the stairs before she could stop me. "Chantal," she called out. Jason's room overlooked the drive, which meant I had to turn a corner to get there. But halfway down the hall, I heard him laugh. Then another voice, muffled by the door, joined in. "Hurry up, Jason. Your girlfriend will be mad if we're late. I need more than 5 minutes for you sexy minx, you know?" I recognized that voice. Laughter drifted into the hallway. My heartbeat sped up. What was she doing here? She should be on her way to my house. It couldn't be. I ran the rest of the short distance, and the door opened to my worst nightmare. There on Jason's bed was Lorraine with her jeans and panties around her ankles and Jason with his face buried between her thighs. Lorraine's eyes flew open and met mine. She tapped Jason's shoulder, and he drew back in shock with her juices coating his mouth. My vision blurred as pain so sharp and intense pierced my heart. The air in the room felt thin. My best friend and my boyfriend. In a daze, I turned away from the sight, doing my best to hold the bile threatening to rip its way out of my throat. I ran blindly down the stairs. Behind me, Jason called my name. His footsteps pounded the stairs as he rushed to catch up with me. When he caught my hand, I drew back and slapped him across the face. "How dare you?" "Chantal, listen to me. It's not what you think." I jerked my hand away from his, my sight blurring with tears. From the corner of my eyes, I saw his mom watching, her face awash with guilt. I finally understood. "How long, Jason? How long have you been cheating on me?" Footsteps sounded on the stairs and Lorraine walked into view looking smug and pleased with herself. Unable to take any more of it, I ran out of the house, choking on my sobs. I was out of the door in a flash, running into Sophie's arms. "What the fuck, Coco?" She halted. Her arms wrapped tighter around me when she saw the tears in my eyes. Let's go, HH. I stammered. My throat was tight with pain. The tears in my eyes pooled but refused to drop. It was so painful. I couldn't get rid of the image I just saw. "What happened?" "Lorraine, Jason." That was all I had to say because Sophie immediately understood. She held me close to her and led me away from Jason's front porch, muttering, "Bastard," under her breath. The door opened and Jason ran out calling my name. Sophie whirled on him, a murderous look on her face. "You fucking pig! Don't you call my best friend's name from that shithole of yours again, or I will cut your fucking dick off and feed it to you." She practically carried me when she said, "Let's go, Chantal." Jason trailed after us, calling my name, but we ran. Sophie wanted to fight him, but I couldn't bear to stay there and look him in the face any longer. I hiccuped all the way home, unable to contain the pain in my chest. 6 months of my seemingly perfect relationship was now wasted. Sophie managed to get me upstairs without alerting anyone. She went downstairs to get me a bottle of water. I sat on my bed holding my chest in my hands, trying to wipe the terrible image from my mind. My door opened and Grandma walked in. She stopped and took in my pitiful appearance. "Coco? What happened to you? Your mom told you not to think about your dad at a time like this. I know you miss him, but…" "Jason cheated on me with…" I blurted out. The tears burst free. Grandma came to sit on the bed with me and pulled me into her arms. Sophie returned with a bottle of water. "A bottle of water?" Grandma queried. "Bring that wine from the dinner table, silly." I hiccuped and blinked my tears away. Grandma always fought Yolanda for drinking wine, and she forbade me from having anything alcohol-related. "Wine?" I asked. She winked at me. "Yes, honey, boys are stupid. Wine doesn't solve problems, and again neither does milk." She smiled. Sophie slowly clapped. "Facts, Grandma. Fucking facts." She hurried off, and a short while later returned with the bottle of wine which Grandma opened. She took a long swig from it and passed it to me. I gulped the strong wine and coughed, gasping for air. It burned. Grandma patted my back and encouraged me to drink some more, which I did until a warm fuzzy feeling spread through my veins. My tears stopped following. I took another gulp of wine until Sophie snatched the bottle from my hand. With a cheer, she polished off what was left in the bottle. Grandma caressed my back and kissed my cheeks. "How do you feel?" The pain of Jason and Lorraine's betrayal eased off my chest, but the sadness lingered, and I told her so. "You will get over him. There are many fish in the ocean waiting to be caught." Sophie slowly clapped again. "Grandma is throwing out some facts tonight. Forget that snake, Lorraine. What a pretentious bitch." She cast the wine bottle aside and took my dress, which was spread out abandoned at the foot of my bed. "Forget those idiots and don't let them spoil your day, Coco. You deserve happiness today, and they deserve to die. I can't believe I agree with Sophie, but she's right. My head buzzed, and a warm feeling settled in my stomach. I tried to smile. I am lucky Sophie is a good friend and I have my precious grandma here with me. They are right. Jason and Lorraine are not worth crying over. I washed my face, put on my dress, and let Sophie put makeup on my face. Hook up with a random guy at the club tonight if you wish. You're single and free, she whispered in my ear while hooking my earrings. By the time I got downstairs, Mom and Yolanda were dressed and waiting at the foot of the stairs for me. There was one more guest. Nolan Pierce, our next-door neighbor. I never really gave Nolan a second glance in the 1 year that he lived beside us. He lives with his mother. He was the awkward kid on the block and he didn't even attend school. Today he wore an oversized shirt and sweatpants, not exactly the attire for a birthday dinner. I invited Nolan over. His mom is out of town on business, Mom explained. I can see that. We sat down to eat. The warm feeling from the alcohol lingered, and I began to notice things I never noticed before. For example, were Nolan's eyes always this green and beautiful? He noticed me staring and shyly looked away. Beneath his shoulder-length hair, his skin turned a dark shade of red. He blushed up the roots of his hair. When he glanced at me again, I winked and he choked. The wine made me bold. I rubbed my leg against his and accidentally brushed my hand against his. No one else at the table noticed, everyone was busy with the buffet spread out. Mom passed dessert around, and I held Nolan's gaze while I licked the chocolate icing off my fork. His shyness made me bolder, so when he excused himself from the table to go home after dinner, I suggested walking him home. Mom thought it was a good idea. Thank you for the invitation, Mrs. Jones. Sophie waited in my room getting ready for our night out later. Outside, Nolan shoved his hands into his pockets, walking stiffly. Only a white fence separated my house from his, but until today we never said anything but hi to each other. Happy birthday, he stuttered. You look pretty. I channeled my inner Sophie and blurted what I hoped was a seductive laugh, leaning against his arm and pretending to stumble. His arms instinctively wrapped around my waist to hold me up and I slipped my arms around his waist, looking directly into his eyes. His face burned red again and his eyes darted up and down the empty street. Your mom is away, right? He stuttered. Yes. Why? I rose on my toes and pressed my lips to his. His body tightened and the hands around my waist tightened, but his mouth remained shut. I drew back and pouted my lips. Don't you want to kiss me? I asked. When he didn't answer, I pulled away. Great. Even the geeky kid doesn't want me. He laughed nervously. What? He held me back. The cool breeze blew against my flesh exposed by the open back of my gown. I always thought, I want to kiss you. I always thought you didn't like me. I fluttered my lashes, too dazed by wine and blinded by revenge to care about anything he said. Rising on my toes, I pressed my lips to his again. This time his hand gripped my face, holding me against him. He kissed awkwardly, but it felt good. When I slipped my hands under his shirt, he shuddered and broke the kiss. Do you, he stammered. Want to come in? I finished for him. We stumbled backwards until we were inside his house. I pressed his back to the closed door and ran my lips from his mouth to his jaw. For a second, I thought he would cry and ask me to put my clothes back on. But he undid his cords and took out his cock. Oh well. I slipped my panties off waiting for the foreplay when he climbed over me and slid in. A dull pain was the only indication that something that was supposed to be life-changing was happening. I lay on my back waiting for the sensations of pleasure those romance books praise to the high heavens. Nolan thrust in and out and I remained motionless on my back. Suddenly he jerked and groaned. Did he just? You came? I shrieked. He pulled out. In the dark, I saw him lower his gaze in shame. I'm sorry. Suddenly feeling stupid, I swung my legs to the edge of the couch and put my dress back on. Well, what difference did it make if he came? What's the worst that I could expect from someone who only had to thrust 4 times to come? Forget it, I bit out through my teeth. I wanted revenge against Jason, but I was served with disappointment. I should be apologizing. This was a mistake. He paused halfway, pulling his sweatpants on. A mistake? Yes, a huge mistake. This, us, you, all of it. This never happened, okay? Let's pretend this never happened and go back to our lives. I zipped up my gown, found my shoes, and showed myself the door. The worst of my life happened on my birthday. I was ready to put it behind me when I crawled into bed later that night after a miserable time at the so-called club. A week later, Nolan moved and I found myself pregnant. Buzz! I slammed the alarm beside my bed. It clattered to the floor with a dull thud, but the alarm kept buzzing. Arg! I'm up already! The lights came on. A small figure stood at my door, smiling sleepily at me. His curly black hair was all over the place, and his JJBA pajamas bottom was lowered on one hip. Hey baby, come over and give mommy a hug. My 6-year-old son, Nolan, came running into my arms. Yes, I named him after his father. 7 years ago, I was a bitter youth, angry and ready to take revenge against my best friend and boyfriend's betrayal. I ran into the arms of my shy neighbor and made my son. I regret that night. I regret the words out of my lips to Nolan. His hurt eyes have tormented me ever since, and I never got the chance to apologize because he moved before I could finally find the courage to apologize for taking my anger out on him. I never thought I was ready to be a mother until I held little Nolan in my arms. At that moment, I knew God was giving me a second chance to make things right, and every day after that has been a blessing with my little angel. I ruffled his curls, and he laughed, pushing my hands away. He looks a lot like his father. It hurts. The only thing Nolan inherited from me was the crown of tight curls. His eyes are as green as his father's. You stink, Mommy, the impish fellow remarked, holding his hand to his nose to stifle my morning breath. I rolled my eyes good-naturedly. Out of the mouth of babes. Wanna brush with Mommy? Can I do it myself, please? He begged, holding his hands up in a pleading gesture. Okay. Only if you promise to do it well this time. Yay! He hurried to his room, which was adjacent to mine, to get his stuff. I tossed my blanket aside and crawled out of bed. The television was on and the opening theme to one of Nolan's favorite animes echoed. Groaning, I went to the sitting room where Sophie lay sprawled on the couch with her leg slung over the headrest. Nolan leaned against the armrest with his legs dangling off the floor. He sang the theme song with Sophie. It's too early for this, Sophie. Nolan needs to go to school. She turned down the volume of the television and rolled over. Morning, MOM. Her newly dyed strawberry blonde hair was pulled up in a messy bun, and she wore PJs identical to Nolan's. She had them made for both of them for Christmas last year. She came in last night. She works at a pharmaceutical company as an assistant manager. She wants to open a company of her own, but she hangs out in my apartment all night. We don't talk about it, but we both know that the reason she spends so much time in my apartment is that she's alone. She never really got over her difficult childhood and has problems committing to anything. In college, I had encouraged her to see therapists. Let's just say that was wasted advice. Still, she's my best friend. That's why she will always be welcome in my home. She was there for me when I was ready to give up after the whole Jason and Lorraine fiasco. She babysat Nolan in college and, after that, she still hangs around to take care of him when I have to work late. You look like shit, she commented with a loud laugh. Don't I know it? My back ached after a long workday yesterday. Nolan, wait upstairs for me, will you, honey? I'll join you soon. He reluctantly turned away from the anime scene playing on TV and went up the stairs, occasionally turning back to catch glimpses of the show. Penelope lit your ass, eh? You know how she is. You have to be on your feet 24/7 around her. She wasn't pleased with last night's show and everyone had to suffer for it. You should quit that job. You are better than that. This is an argument we have every single morning. I work for Penelope Quinn, an infamous businesswoman and model. She owns a modeling agency. In college, Sophie had encouraged me to try modeling on the side for a little cash. After college, I tried my luck at Penelope's agency, and she took one look at me and said, "You are in the wrong place, honey. What else can you do?" Turns out, I can run errands. So I became her PA, although it seems more like I do the job of a servant than a personal assistant. I waved Sophie's comment aside. I need the job. It puts food on the table and pays Nolan's fees. Besides, I've been putting some of my ample salary aside. I don't have any plans for a job for now, so until I do, I will keep saving what I can. Can you help me get Nolan to school when you're ready to leave? Penelope called for a meeting today. Sophie rolled her eyes, knowing I was avoiding that conversation. Sure. How long are you gonna be gone? Till Penelope is done. I need to go get ready. Nolan was playing superhero with his toothbrush in my bathroom when I came in. I joined him and played the damsel in distress while he played Superman, coming to the rescue. Sophie is to blame for Nolan's obsession with comics and animations. While she babysat, she also made it her job to make a weeb out of my son by reading him comics even before he could speak at bedtime stories. After several minutes of fooling around, I got him to succumb to the trial of the bathtub and the mercy of the hairbrush, then sent him off to Sophie for his next mission. A few minutes later, I was dressed in a cream A-line skirt and a silk navy blue blouse. The perk of working for a model/agent is getting the cast-off clothes. I applied light makeup to hide the tired lines around my eyes, brushed my thick, unruly curls, secured them with a band on top of my head, and was ready to go. Nolan and Sophie were eating cereal when I went downstairs for my bag and car keys. I'm off. I kissed Nolan's head. Bye, kid. Bye, Mom. He replied distractedly. Yeah, bye, Mom. Sophie echoed. My tiny second-hand car, which has seen both rain and sunshine, sat in the garage I share with my neighbors, an old couple who spend most of their time in their garden. I waved at them as I drove off. Traffic was light, thankfully. Penelope worships punctuality. That was the first rule she drilled into me on my first day of work with her. She didn't give a flying fuck that I had a toddler to take care of, her work came first. It's no wonder she collects more engagement rings than the Lord of the Rings. Her last engagement fell through because her fiancé fell in love with a nurse or something. The agency occupied the entire 7th floor of the Winston's complex on Hux and 7th Avenue. The office was already buzzing with activities when I came out of the elevator. A group of workers gathered around a box of donuts, downing huge bites of glazed and chocolate donuts with coffee. Save me a donut, I called out to one of the guys. I had barely made my way to the desk when the Ice Queen herself walked into the room. If ever there was a boss from hell, she is one. She used the staircase and somehow got to the office just a few seconds after me. Sometimes I suspect she was a dragon in her past life, terrorizing peasants and breathing fire. The box of donuts disappeared from the desk. Where is Frankie? Straight to business. Penelope Quinn walked towards me with her pencil heels, clicking the tiles like a warning. Her blonde waves bounced as she walked. I scrambled my brain for an answer, looking at a coworker for help. I think she got caught in traffic. Good morning, ma'am. She huffed. I swear a cloud of vapor came out of her frosty mouth. She can remain in traffic. She's fired. The advertising agency needs their project this morning, and she's in traffic? She cast a gaze across the room and everyone shrank, even the photographers and stylists. She turned her frosty eyes to me and I did my best not to swallow. Well, what are you waiting for? Don't we have other models for the shoot? All this woman needs is a pair of horns, and she will be a favorite in kids' dreams. Her icy blue eyes made me freeze for a split second. When her gaze sharpened, I found my tongue. Yes ma'am. We have, Julianne, Nicole, I think Diop is in the back room. Diop. Send for Diop, she's perfect. She shuffled on her feet for a moment. She was impatient. The look on her face meant she had something on her mind. I have worked with Penelope Quinn long enough to know when the wheels in her head are in motion. Get to work already! She yelled at no one in particular. Then her eyes focused on me again. You, Chantal, come with me. Yes, ma'am. Her heels clicked heavily on the shiny tiles as she walked to her office. Barely 30 minutes since she walked in and the whole place was dead quiet. That's the power of Penelope Quinn. Sometimes I don't know whether to hate her or adore her. She's a force to be reckoned with, yet she's a terror, and in times like this, I know it's easy to hate her. I have an important meeting. It came suddenly. Are you familiar with the name Pierce? There are probably 1,000 Pierces around 7th Avenue alone. No, ma'am. She shot me a dark look. You are my secretary, you should know these things. Do you spend your free time under a rock or jungle? I take care of my kid, you asshole. And it's PA. Anyway, you'll meet him today. He wants us to handle his engagement party arrangements and everything, and you will be at the meeting to take notes. But we run a modeling agency, not an event planning management. We do now. Don't teach me my job, Jones. Now where was I? She pushed open her office door, which overlooked the streets. Her desk was positioned, so she was facing the main office building. The glass walls were transparent enough to reveal what everyone in the main area was doing. Psycho. Yes, Pierce. He should be here any minute now, so do something about that outfit of yours. You look ridiculous. Tell Jay to dress you up in that red gown Frankie wore last week. Yes, ma'am. I waited for more instructions because the Ice Queen is an expert at dispersing errands. She threw me an irritated look. Well, hurry. I rushed out of the office to do as she ordered. Breathe deeply, Chantal, I told myself as I entered the dressing room for models. You can't murder your boss. Juliette Diop was already in the dressing room getting ready for the shoot in the studio. Stylists rushed to get her dressed and ready before the dragon appeared to blow fire down their necks. I passed the racks of clothes and shoes and headed straight for the tiny office at the back. Jay, our head stylist, was working on new sketches when I walked in. His dyed dreads were half covered with a beanie and his gray button-up shirt hung loose on him. He was ready with a smile for me like always. Hello, Coco. He rose from his stool to hug me. Shouldn't you be with the Ice Queen? She sent me here for a makeover. Oh, right. She asked me to give you Frankie's dress. I had it adjusted for that ass of yours. He winked. I wish we had more figures like yours around here. I could really do a lot with that figure. I laughed and waved his flirts off. We work in different units, but Jay and I have been friends since day one. He took one look at me and decided I should be the new face of Starlet, but Penelope would not have it. We go out for drinks once in a while, but never really get serious. I know he wants more than friendship with me though, and he makes that obvious. Jay helped me into the gown which, true enough, had been adjusted to accommodate my ass and hips. The gown stopped just before my knees with a neckline dip to reveal the top of my breasts, which, thanks to a push-up bra, filled the bodice perfectly. Just look at that. Gorgeous. Jay commented. You will have heads turning everywhere you go. What's the occasion? Some dude named Pierce is coming over and Penny can't throw orders fast enough. Jay's eyes widened. You don't say. Pierce in flesh and blood? Here? I frowned. This guy must be something if even Jay is impressed by him. Yeah? What's the big deal? Jay started to explain when my phone buzzed. Shit. It's Ice Queen. I had better go now, thanks, Jay. You are welcome, sweetie. Now run along and turn some heads. I want all the details over lunch, okay? Yeah. I hurried out of the dressing room. Okay, I changed my mind. The gown is slightly uncomfortable. I could barely walk in the tight skirt that narrowed from my waist down. But if the compliments I received in the hall were anything to go by, my discomfort wasn't noticeable. I was barely a few feet away from Penelope's office when I noticed she was no longer alone. Through the glass wall, I made out the form of a tall gentleman standing before her desk. Penelope's tall frame was bent over as she laughed. I didn't know she was capable of laughing. Nolan, please, I will die if I keep laughing. Penelope chuckled. The gentleman laughed too, a deep rich sound that sounded expensive. It must be nice to be rich. I knocked to alert them to my presence. Oh, right on time, Chantal, she said as soon as I opened the door. Nolan, this is my assistant, she will be attending this meeting if you don't mind. Of course The man, dressed in a suit that would surely buy my apartment and car 6 times over, turned with his hands raised to shake mine. I did the same, pasting the friendliest smile on my face. Then froze. No fucking way.